Hey Shalloners, today I want to talk about something that you guys have messaged me about a lot, which is how to build confidence and kind of become the real you, the best version of yourself, or basically just to figure out who you are. And I started thinking about doing this as a topic when I saw the movie 8th Grade recently. I don't know if you guys have heard of it. It's kind of an indie film. It's about a girl in 8th grade who's like really shy, not confident at all, but yet in her free time, which is all of her time, she doesn't really have any friends, she makes these YouTube videos, kind of like I do, where it's like, hey girls, here's how to be confident, unleash the real you. And meanwhile, she has no idea who she is. And I realized that that is the case for all of us at many different ages. Like that doesn't stop being a question, who am I? Past 8th grade. In fact, it intensifies. And it's always, it makes me crazy when people are like, I don't know, just be yourself. It's like, what if I don't know who that is? You know, that's not so easy. I feel like I have a very strong personality and you can sum me up using very specific adjectives. No need to say what they are. I'm sure not all of them are positive, but like even I constantly question my identity. As a New Yorker, our identities are very wrapped up in our jobs. Like if I didn't have my job as the deputy editor of a national magazine, I don't know what I would do. Like, I don't know, like that's how I introduce myself. I'm Shallon from, I'm an editor, I'm an author, I'm a YouTuber. If all those things fell away, what would I be? I think that's a lot of reason people have kids or get married, because they can be like, I'm a wife and I'm a mom. Because we as humans, we need to kind of like boil things down and compartmentalize. So it's like, if there's not like a tidy little term to give someone or to give yourself, it can be very frightening. It can be like this existential crisis of like, oh my God, who am I and why am I even alive? Like it's a lot. It's a lot. So I'm here to help you kind of figure that out. Who are you? Who is the real you? But let's start first with how to build self-esteem. Because once you build self-esteem, that walks hand in hand with figuring out the real you, And I used to think that people who like knew who they were, that they kind of just like woke up and discovered it one day, and that it was like this wave that just washed over them. It's not like that. Nothing in life isn't like that, Love isn't like that. Forgiveness isn't like that. Bravery isn't like that. It's a series of small steps and small decisions that lead you off of one path and onto another, or maybe onto any path in general. So, first things first, how do you build self-esteem? You do what I call esteemable things. One thing that I think we're all guilty of, and certainly when you're younger, and certainly when you're having some sort of like existential crisis or like emotional situation, is self-absorption. Right, ladies? I mean, when people talk about anxiety, which we all have, anxiety basically boils down to self-absorption, You're obsessing about what might happen and how that's going to affect you. Whether that's, my mom's gonna die, people are gonna laugh at me, we're gonna go to war with China, and that's gonna affect me. It's just like, it's just everything that could happen is happening in your mind and you are living it. It's the worst thing in the world because you're so not present. You are living in the future, but like a shitty future, the worst possible future. And I have always thought that the antidote to self-absorption is helping other people. After my MTV show was canceled in 2011, I mean, it's still something I struggle to get over. It destroyed my self-esteem, destroyed it. Like my marriage collapsing did not even hold a candle to the catastrophic effect that my show ending had, because, and I know this is going to sound bad, but the only way I can describe it is like, I felt like I had a stillborn baby, and I'm so sorry if that's something you've actually been through. I can appreciate how, I don't want you to think I'm saying that flippantly, even though I probably am. Like I lost my ability to believe in my future, and all I could think about was like, woe is me. This was the worst thing that had ever befallen someone. So, and I wasn't really working, like I didn't have to at that time. So I had a lot of time to sit around and think about how I was the most pitiful person on planet Earth. Nothing bad had happened to anyone but me. So I started volunteering at a homeless shelter. Because it's real hard when you're swapping stories with a lady who's been homeless for 12 years because her husband beat her and her relatives wouldn't take her in, that your MTV reality show didn't go very far. You're an asshole. And I became addicted to that antidote, and I became ashamed of myself, appropriately ashamed of myself. And I also realized that I had a meaning and a use and a place in this world beyond what MTV decided my meaning and my usefulness was, beyond what social media said, beyond what a boyfriend said, beyond what my social circle said, or a boss. I found meaning and usefulness helping other people. And I feel like that's not probably an answer people want to hear. They want to hear look in the mirror until you love yourself, because we all just kind of want to stay in our own little bubble. But if you keep doing what you're doing, you're going to keep getting what you're getting. There is not going to be one single downside to you getting out there and helping people, whether it's cleaning up trash on a beach, tutoring people after school, offering to be sober driver for some of the kids in your college, whatever it might be. Find something that you're good at, find something that you can contribute, and go do it. That's going to tell you that you have value, and your value is tangible. What did you do today? All right, some people, they took some pictures, they went on a date, they made their boyfriend dinner. You helped change someone's life, possibly. Everything away from the wrong direction is the right direction. Number 2, in order to kind of figure out who you are, you have to follow your passions. And again, that's kind of a tall order. It's well, what am I passionate about? I don't know. It's small. I always say that confidence is quiet. The loudest person in the room is the weakest. The quest for confidence is also quiet. It's small. And like I said before, it's not a wave that washes over you and suddenly you're I'm confident, I know who I am. It's a series of small things. Think about some stuff that you love to do. Picture in your mind your perfect day. What does it involve? Really, think about the things that truly make you happy. Let's say it's being out in your garden, planting roses or something like that, or working with animals. I'm the happiest when I'm talking to a dog. And yes, we have conversations. It's not one-sided. We vibe. So okay, I love dogs. They make me happy, just purely blissfully happy. I'm gonna go volunteer at that animal shelter. I'm gonna kill 2 birds with 1 stone. I'm not only gonna follow a passion, I'm gonna get out of my comfort zone and I'm gonna do something that helps others. I'm gonna get out of my self-absorption. That's gonna build self-esteem. And it's also gonna spark more passion. I'm gonna become addicted not only to the feeling of usefulness, but the feeling of I'm tapped into a part of me that is truly happy. And I'm gonna wanna tap into more things that make me truly happy. And suddenly I'm gonna look around my life and recognize what those things are. Like I said, maybe it's gardening. Okay, I'm gonna develop that as a passion. Doesn't mean I have to become a botanist, but I'm gonna go walk in the park with a book or an app, and I'm gonna try to identify 10 plants that I've never noticed before. And that's how I'm gonna spend my afternoon. Instead of scrolling through Instagram or obsessing about the guy who doesn't like me or watching Life of Kylie, I'm gonna do something that feeds me. And this is, it becomes a snowball effect. Once you realize that you have passions and interests, you start to see them everywhere, and you become more emboldened to follow them. And say that you follow 5 different passions, from the big to the small. Maybe one of those becomes a bigger hobby. Maybe one of those becomes a profession. That's how it was with me in writing. I always loved to write, and I would write stories for all my friends in 6th grade. But I also love to be outside. I love to garden. I loved animals. But the writing thing took a deeper root within me. I also realized I could make more money doing it. Well, who knows if that's true. I probably could have made a lot as a veterinarian or something like that, or a botanist, but we're not gonna focus on that. But because I developed that consistently, and because I listened to my heart and my mind when it had that joyous feeling when I was writing, that was something I stuck with and I developed it. But again, it's slow, and it's okay if it's slow. Don't focus on what the end goal might be. Focus on just I enjoy doing this just to do it. This is purely passionate for me. Number 3, set a physical goal. I know. Exercise is not my favorite, and I have no real reason why. It makes me feel better. I feel great after I work out, and it makes me look better. It's socially acceptable. It's cool to like to work out and move your body. It's some weird psychological thing I have going on inside me. Trust me, I'm working out with therapists. But my point is Setting a physical goal is, again, going to give you accountability, and it's going to like show you that you can achieve things. So that now because you decided to run that 5K, or like learn to do the splits, or were able to do that push-up, or like a boy push-up or a pull-up or whatever it might be, no matter how small, graduate up until it's a larger goal. That's going to tell you deep in your mind, I can achieve things. So that once you've identified these passions in the other categories of your life, you're gonna fuse that with this physical goal mentality and be like, I'm gonna enter that rose growing competition in the county fair. I'm gonna start my own dog walking company. I'm gonna submit that novel. I'm gonna write for the school newspaper. You're gonna have that confidence. And then you're going to be able to define yourself as a writer, as a business owner, as a creative person, right? It all adds up. Number 4, join a group or a team that needs you, that relies on you. My most quantum leap in terms of self-esteem and identity building came when I joined ROTC in college. I joined Army ROTC sophomore year because I was just kind of like out of control. Like, not in like a bad way that literally would have been too interesting. I didn't know who I was. I wasn't happy in my sorority. I was too afraid to quit the sorority. It was just like, I had no identity. I didn't know where I was going. I didn't know where I fit in. And the Army gave me a place to fit in because it gave me goals and actions and very specific real people who needed me to complete those actions. If I didn't help set up the tent, we all slept out in the cold. If I didn't do this, no one had that. And it also like gave us the idea like you put your life in someone's hands and they do that for you. So that took me out of this idea that I was only as good as the person I was dating, the frat I was invited to, the girl in my sorority who deemed me worthy that week. Like, no, I'm able to do things. I'm able to do things on an existential sense. Like people trust me with their life. I was also able to do cool physical shit, like set up a landmine, which I can do, and like disassemble and reassemble an automatic weapon and shoot someone in the head 3 football fields away. That's not important, but I can do it, so don't fuck with me. But like that gave me this whole new side of accountability to myself that I never considered. I had use. I had worth outside of a social sphere, outside of what the popular kids decided, outside of even what my grades were. Like, all right, I can't do math, I don't understand econ, but yeah, I can set up this Claymore landmine in 30 seconds. I think that's cooler. And that helped build my self-esteem back up. And like I said, that encouraged me to take risks in other areas of my life, which brings me to the last point. Remember this key phrase. I say it, you know what it is. You know what it is. You wouldn't care so much, you wouldn't care so much what people thought about you if you knew how seldom they did. I say it all the time because it's never not true. This to me, I say this when I get anxious because it reminds me that nobody really cares what I'm doing, for good and for bad. Yes, it's jarring to think the whole world isn't obsessively watching me, as they should, as I deserve, but it allows me that freedom to take risks because like, nobody really cares if I crash and burn at a new hobby, or if I say something stupid at a party, or if I wear something stupid. It's in one area, out the other. People don't care. So that allowed me, that combined with the confidence of giving back, the confidence from joining a group that needed me, the confidence of setting and reaching physical goals. And basically all those things were encapsulated into ROTC when I was in college. Like I checked all those boxes with that one sort of thing that I was doing. That allowed me to take risks in other areas of my life. You know, when you realize that not everyone's obsessing about you, it's like, cool, then I'm gonna wear this cool thing. I'm gonna join that club that no one else approves of. And that's how my college experience went. Because I was so emboldened by ROTC and I had this this core of self-esteem now, I went out for improv team. And because I did improv, I ended up doing it in Los Angeles. I got TV roles, you know, like that took on a life of its own. I got hosting roles. That helped me feel good in front of a camera, which helped me like think on my feet. That's how I got my reality show. You don't know where these paths are gonna lead, where these threads are gonna go, but you owe it to yourself to follow them. So branch out. You're never gonna figure out who you are if you don't allow yourself the breathing room to poke around and find it. We allow kids, right? We allow kids to like dress up like Superman one day and a princess the next and play with dolls and play with fire trucks and listen to this and listen to that. And then at some point, well, it's not at some point, it's 8th grade. It all comes back around. 8th grade, we kind of stop doing that because we as women are taught that like, that's when boys need to notice you. That's when you're gonna get boobs or not. And that is like the great divide between whether or not you're worthy and normal and whether or not you're a fucking loser, basically. It's so twisted. If you're gonna be popular, and we dampen down our curiosity. I want you to get that back. Because if you can get that back, yep, and you branch out and you try new things, yeah, there are gonna be people who are like, what are you doing? There were definitely people like that with me in college. I mean, most of my sorority, it's so funny. They were like, you're doing ROTC, you're doing improv, you're writing a sex column for the newspaper. It was just like, weird. Guess who's on my jock? Now that I live in New York, now that I'm an editor, now that I'm Instagram verified. All those naysayers, because I was taking risks they didn't feel comfortable enough to take. You know, then or now, hopefully they did. I don't know. I don't really care. I don't talk to half these people anymore because they've served their purpose, you know? Finding who you are, the real you, isn't easy. And like I keep saying, it's not a wave that washes over you. And it's not something you do and you're like, now I know, bye. I have to stay constantly vigilant about this because my job could end tomorrow. I could get fired tomorrow. God, I hope I don't. I really like my job. Like, Instagram could go down. I'm not an influencer. YouTube could go belly up. I don't have this channel. I have to rely on other things. What I call being a warm-blooded animal. And I've talked about this before. A warm-blooded animal regulates its own core, its own temperature. A cold-blooded animal, like a snake or Kylie Jenner, can't. They rely on their outside for every ounce of their warmth and of their heat, and in people, of their self-esteem. That's sad. You feel it's such a shaky way to live, you know? It's such a sad, frightening, anxious way to live because it's like if people turn on you, you feel like you don't even exist anymore. You can't ever hang your self-esteem on one person, one group, not even one goal. I found that out the hard way with my TV show. I had everything. I poured everything into that, like not just time and everything, the entirety of who I was. And when it died, I'm like, who am I? Who am I now? What is my future? And I will never let that happen again. You know, there's a lot of eggs in the baskets now. And so you guys got to live like that too. If you guys have more questions about self-esteem, confidence, and becoming the real you, please let me know. Leave it in the comment section below. I will definitely do more videos on this. And I have other videos. I have videos on how to make a good impression, how to stop caring what people think, how to be popular, the #1 thing all popular people do. I got you covered, girls and boys. So like I said, if you have more questions, find me on the Instant Go app at ShallonXO is my username and click chat, or leave your question right here in the comment section. Click like and subscribe for new videos every Friday, and follow me on social, ShallonXO, Snap, Insta, and Twitter. Stay savage, my little gems.